Hello, I am Minki Kim from Sewing Illustration. Today I am at Riley Blake Designs to show how to make these charming pouches that I used my upcoming fabric line in the Afterglow. This pouch comes with 3 sizes. Today I'm gonna make this a small one. This is perfect for put your essentials like a phone and then your lip gloss, and then you're ready to go. And the medium one, you can also your must-go item phone, and then small coin purse and hand lotions. And this one is small, but it can hold so much, so it is perfect for your date night. And the big one can hold so much. It takes only 1 extra row of patchworks. It won't take long to make, but it can hold so much, like your sunglasses and your purse, and of course your smartphone. And if you add a long leather strap as a crossbody bag, it is perfect for your date night for the mall and movie theater, and it will make you so charming at the public places. So let's get started. The materials you will need are these. First, to make the patchwork panel, you need to start sew 5 squares and then 1 row, and then you need 2 rows, so another row of 5 squares, and then stitch it all together. There will be 1 patchwork panel. And for this bag, you need 2 patchwork for front and back. So, and then after you sew the patchwork, you can press the seam whatever you liked, but for this is the small project, I gave more attention, so I popped the thread, and so the panel is laid flat, but it really doesn't matter, so whatever you can do is okay. And then after you make the patchwork, you need to stitch the bottom panel. This is gonna be the bottom. So with the right side together, it doesn't matter which goes to where, but if you have a preference, just make sure your top panel is on top and the bottom goes to bottom. So this bottom panel meets on the bottom together like this. And so with the right side together, you put here like this, and then matching all the long edges and stitch. And this is a small project. You don't really need to pin. Just hold with your finger so it doesn't move. And I use the 1/4 inch foot, and the stitch length is 2.5 as the setting, default setting. Once you're sewing the bottom panel, iron. The seam is on the bottom side panel. Okay, once you've done the patchwork panel, now you need 2 square, and then you're gonna stitch it up here. The important thing is make sure that your square is not the same of any of these. You don't want to use the same square here. And this is very important. This raw edge goes to here. And then so it's aligning top raw edges, and align this one of a seam line like this. I will pin. So this is what I'm going to sew. And here, with the same manner, with the right side, align the top raw edges meet together, and this raw edge is aligned this seam line like this, not this. Okay, this is a very important part. So make sure it goes like this, and then pin. And then I'm gonna stitch here. So it's gonna be like this. So you're done. Now you are finally finished the patchwork panel. I'm gonna iron. One is ready, and with the same manner, you make two. So, but I want to show you how to do the front panel. So I use the foam stabilizer. It's my personal preference. If you don't have a foam bedding, you can use a cotton bedding because this is a small bag, so the difference won't change a lot. So I will put like this on the center. So you have a room here to quilt. So if you would prefer, you can spray the adhesive, but it's just such a small bag. You don't need. Just my favorite way is just press. It kind of helps us stick to the foam. And then I'm going to quilt. And you can quilt whatever you want. But my tip is make sure the thread is kind of blend in. You don't want to use too bright color or too dark color, because when the dark color thread goes here, it shows too much. And if you use the white thread, this fabric is not that bright, so I don't want it to show. So that's my tip. And when I quilt, I change the stitch length to 3 millimeter. So I will change it to 3 millimeter. And then start to quilting from the center. Always, when you quilt, always start from the center, and then from the center, go outward. So I will start here. It's an 1/8 inch. Stitch length is 1 inch. And make sure to start from here so this fabric doesn't move. Try to stitch the very edge. The very important thing is make sure to stitch this end. When you keep quilting and finish, it will look like this. I stitch kind of about 3/4 inch of space, and then stitch the both line from the seam line, and then 1/8 inch. But it's a personal matter, so you can quilt as long as whatever you want. Just to make sure to stitch all the raw edges are stitched to the back, so it doesn't move when we trim. So repeat the same steps and make two for the exterior panel from the front of the pouch and the back of the pouch. So once you're done making this quilt, I'm gonna using the template on the pattern. This is a small one. It comes with this. So I taped together along the dotted line. And make sure when you print out the pattern, this test is 1 inch. So if it is not 1 inch, adjust your printer. It is 100% or actual size. That is very important. Okay, and then with the panel, before you trace I always recommend to trace the bottom line first so it aligned with your template. So with your ruler, it is aligned like this and matches this the bottom panel and your ruler like this, and then with your rotary cutter cut. When you trim as the size mentioned on the panel, if the foam bearing a little short and then your panel is a little short, doesn't need to worry. Okay, and then now you have a straight bottom line, and then your template, just to put it on the center. Make sure just the center, everything is here in the center. This is matches, and then put it here, and then use your hand and press like this so it doesn't move, and then using your fabric marker, press and mark like this. So if you like to make multiple of the bag, I recommend to trace the template on a hardboard paper so you can use it over and over again. And you can also skip the patchwork and use one of your favorite print. That way you can make the many bags in a short amount of time. Okay, so using your ruler, you can cut through along the trace the line like this and this. And here's is the straight line, so I put it here. And another tip, if your trace the line is inside of the stitch, I would just cut a little away so you don't cut your stitch. Like this. So this is all still stitched. Also here, if your trace line is inside of this, it doesn't matter because of a little bit of a difference. So I would move your ruler a little bit away from the stitch so you don't cut. Otherwise you have to quilt again, quilt the layers again. So. And make sure you don't cut here. So I always do cut little lengths and then finish with my scissor. And this now you use scissor. I'm a lefty, so cut like this. Again, I didn't cut inside of a stitch. I cut a little outside. Like this. Here too, the tracer line is a little inside of a thread right, and then I just save that line like this. And do not worry if you see a little bit of the foam showing. Doesn't matter. We're gonna trim it anyway. So now done. So you repeat this step and make 2 like this. So make sure when you arrange your patchwork, this, and this, you don't use the same print. So make sure to use many different print so it doesn't repeat them. And the very important part is this should align. right? I think this is a little long, so I'm gonna trim a little bit like this. Okay, so the most important thing, this just matches when you stitch it together. Okay, now you are done your patchwork panel, and just put it aside. Now you're gonna fuse the lining fabric. On the wrong side, I fused the Pellon SF101 woven fusible interfacing on both sides and trace the lining template. And the lining is a little shorter than this exterior panel. So in the template, there's a blue line. This is how you cut your lining. To make the lining template, you can either print two paper and then cut this way, or my tip is these are just quarter inch smaller here. So that's how I use, just like this. So from your exterior template, just mark a quarter inch inside and then cut a little smaller. That way, when you finish the pouch, the lining nests very well. There's no baggy or bulky part. So that's how I use almost my lining is smaller. Because it is a foam batting, is a little thicker than other quilt batting. So that's why. So once you are ready to make two linings and set aside, and now let's make a D-ring tab. This is a D-ring that you can attach to your leather handle. You need the same size of squares, and then you can finger press or iron. I'm gonna use the iron. With the wrong side together, fold in half. And then fold in half again. And the raw edge you really have to meet. You don't want to do like this or this. Otherwise, it will be too wide. Okay? So they have to really meet like this. And press again. And repeat and make two, because we have a 2 D-ring. So here's my D-ring. Before attach, we need to stitch the folded edges. I stitch very, very, very close. That is pretty. Like this. As you see, it's very close. It's shorter than 1/8 an inch. And you put it, loop through the D-ring like this and like this, and then pin, hold them together. Okay, now you are ready to the D-ring. So we are going to attach the D-ring to exterior panel that we made in the beginning. The point is, there is the where you put your D-ring. So use your template and then mark where it goes. I would move like this a little bit and then mark like this. And then make sure it does not usually go, if you put the D-ring, other pouches you would do this, but this pouch, make sure it is on the same side, okay? And then here, mark, and then here it goes like this. And then repin all the layers together, matching the mark. and then stitch. Oops. I would do stitch a couple of times because you want it to be strong. And then now I stitched the 2 D-rings. The important thing, you don't want to stitch D-ring, 2 D-rings at the same pattern. One goes to one, the other goes to the other. The reason is, when you finish the pouch, this D-ring is here, and this D-ring is here. So when you hold, it's facing like this. Otherwise, you don't want, I mean this is stronger to attach the handle. So that's why I use this method. So make sure when you're done, all the D-rings facing on the same side, the left side. Okay, we are done. So it's time to make the zipper tab. Make sure to use a nylon zipper. I use number 5 double slide nylon zipper. If you don't have number 5, it's okay to use number 3. Just make sure it's nylon. And I use the double slide because it's my favorite, but you can use a single slide. It's all your preference. So to make a zipper tab, you need a square. There's a 2 way. I will show you both way. Like you make the D-ring tab, just press in half. And then press again, and make sure again they have to meet, you know, a little overlap doesn't matter. But if there's a gap, no, it's not pretty. So I just kind of a little overlap when I press. And then fold again. And then make sure your zipper is the length of the measurement it mentioned on the pattern. So wrap like this, and you kind of feel where's the zipper end. And pin. And then stitch. There's another way to do it. Get the square, the same size of square, and then with the wrong side up and with the right side down, put it here like this, and then like an 1/8 inch zipper tape just showing like this. And stitch. Once you've finished, press away with your finger. You don't need to iron, you just finger press. And then we like fold like this and fold again. Make sure there's no gap like this. Otherwise, the zipper, the end of the finish of your zipper tape gonna be too long. So make sure zipper tape is here. And then when you feel, you can feel it like this. And then you stitch again. That is another way. So choose whatever you want. I'm gonna stitch. Okay. Now we are done making zipper tab, and we are going to attach it to the one of exterior panel. Before that, this is a curve. So you wanna snip your zipper tape for nice round sewing. So I'm gonna cut like this. You just eyeball it. And then this is the not so round, so doesn't need to snip here. Just this part where it goes like this. So I snip the zipper tape like this on both zipper tape. Okay. Okay, and then leave the zipper a little open like this because we need to turn later. So the best way is fold your zipper in half, and then you know where is the center of the zipper. Mark the center. Again, fold the zipper. So this way you need to open the zipper, otherwise it's hard to fold the zipper, right? So like this, a little crease, and then you know where the center is, mark with your fabric pen. And here, this is the center of your exterior panel. So match the center and pin here. And then from the center, you wanna pin with your binding clip like this, like this. And the very important thing, make sure there is at least a 1/4 inch of seam left. If your zipper is too long, I would take it off and then make it a little shorter. Okay, so make sure it's not too long. You need at least a 1/4 inch of space here left once you pin the zipper. And we are almost there. So once you make the first zipper, the second one takes so less time, and you are so brave to make more of a zipper, more of a pouches. So we are almost done. So after one pin the zipper, now time to attach the zipper. And for this is the number 5 zipper. So you don't need the zipper foot because the zipper tape is wide. If you use number 3 zipper, I would recommend change to zipper foot. But I use the same foot I have from here. And start sewing. You don't need to backstitch at this time. And make sure with your finger, zipper tape matches, aligned with the raw edge here. That way your zipper is stitched nicely. And then move your zipper pull away so it's not in the way. Like this. And then with the needle down, and move the zipper, pull away. So use your right finger as your pin, like this. So it always hold in place so it doesn't move anywhere. And match this raw edge and your 1/4 inch foot, the end it all matches. That way it's pretty once you're done. And with the needle down, press up, and then move the pull away, zipper pull away. And make sure this one is matches like this, and hold it with your finger. So your 5 finger is your pin. So always hold hard like this. Even this, my finger hold this one, so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. That's my tip. Now you're done. See, and then check. Before go to next step, I always check if I'm happy, like if any is wide or if there's anything uneven, then I would sew over again. So I'm happy now. Take the lining with the right side down and match these raw edges and then pin. Pin a lot. That is a safe way. So this is the only time I use pin a lot. Most of the time I don't pin. And as you see, once you're done, this lining is smaller than your exterior panel. Do not panic. You have to make your lining smaller for pretty and professional look back. So I'm gonna go and sewing the lining. This time I will do back stitch. Make sure you do back stitch. It is a little, maybe a little bulk because there's D-ring. So make sure you don't hit your D-ring. You don't want to break your needle. It's away. Okay. And again, there's a zipper. Pull, move away. And then with your finger, it's all like all the nicely aligned together. Make sure to stitch until the end and back stitch. Now you're done. So you are done. I'm gonna show you. It's gonna be like this. Don't panic if it's curved. It is not too hard. I'm sure you can do if you're a quilter. And then here, I'm not happy. This is a little narrow, right? Narrower than the 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna stitch again. So my tip is always check if you're happy before you go to the next step. I'm gonna stitch here again. Okay, now I'm happy. So now what I'm going to do is trim the excess zipper tab away with the scissor, and then put the lining away, and with your finger press this seam toward the exterior panel, patchwork panel, like this. You don't need to press, and then I would like to top stitch to your machine. Make sure your stitch length is 3, a little wider than your normal stitch. And from here, start to stitch. So you can, with your finger, you can feel the seam is here, and then hold with your 2 fingers flat, so seam doesn't go the lining side. Now you are done. This is how you attach the zipper to your thingy, your patchwork, and then it's the same step with the same manner. With the same manner. You attach the other side of zipper tape to the remaining exterior panel. Make sure zipper goes to wrong side up, down, right side down, and then matching the center. This is the center, and the center of the zipper is here. And always match the center first, and then you center remaining zipper tape. Now we finished attaching the zipper and the lining, and it's time to assemble. So, and then this is the last chance you check everything is right, all the seam and top stitch is even. So this is a time, if you're not happy, you can sew again. Because once you assemble, it's too much work to do it again. So now, make sure zipper is open, so because we're gonna turn the right side out after, and then make sure this D-ring goes to the exterior side, and then it matches the exterior edges, and then bottom, and then I said this is important, they have to meet. So somebody use the fabric glue and then press. So if you prefer, you can do that. And then you do it like this. And attach. And again, match this the bottom panel mat in the mat together. That is how your professional look like. And then move this D-ring to the exterior side. And again, pin. So maybe you are scary about this round edge sewing, but this is how the charming bag comes out. So do not worry and just try. You will find out how easy it is. The lining. As you see, I just pin all the corners because in the between it really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is just from the exterior side, I'm going to start to sew here and then sew here, and then lining side here. So you make sure you leave this part open. I will show you how to sew. And this is an important, very important part. This is why I made this exterior panel a little have more room, because it's easier to sew, assemble. So I use 3/8 an inch, not 1/4 inch. So when you see this is a little bit, you have more of this coming out, right? I made this way because if it is too short, it's hard to sew because of your D-ring and then zipper tab in the middle. So you need a little more room to sew. So from here, and make sure you have more when you start, you have more seam here starting, and then make sure you lock the stitch when you start. And then from here, you see I use a 1/4 inch seam, not a 3/8 an inch. It sounds complicated, but when you once made, it's not easy. So I hope you really just try, okay? And what I do is always check if it meets nice. I'm happy. Oh, I forgot to lock the stitch. I'm gonna lock it. And again. So flip the back like this, so you can start the sewing from the exterior panel side, not bottom panel. So all the important part is done. So you can stitch now whatever. It won't show anyway. So now let's finish up, starting the bottom, pouch bottom. You can close the box the corner now, but I would like to stitch the lining before that. Okay, again, check where's the tab and the D-ring so you don't hit the metal part. And with the same manner, start from the, it's a little bulk. From the like a 3/8 an inch. And then once you go to a straight line, you reduce the seam allowance. So it's now a 1/4 inch. And then do not worry if the lining two-piece doesn't match, because it's a lining, yeah, it doesn't show. And back. And then press like this and hold with your finger the 1/4 inch seam. and then start, and then make sure you need to leave an opening. So if you think you're gonna forget, you can mark with your pen, or you just unpick with your seam ripper. So I'm gonna stop here and then start sewing here. So it's about like 3 to 4 inches of opening. Now we are done assembling the lining and exterior, so it's time to box the corner. When you box the corner, the most important thing is your exterior fabric is on the foam bedding. So once you make it flat, make sure they are nicely tucked in both ways. With your double check, it doesn't matter. I mean, make sure to double check and pin and pin. That way you cannot miss the exterior panel and you have to do it again. So just pin it. Okay, let's go to the sewing machine. And then make sure to back stitch. And with your finger, make it flat. With the same manner, you do the other side. So now you box the corner both of the exterior panel. And now we're gonna do the same way, the lining side of the corner. And it's already fused, so you don't need to worry about just a pin. You can either open the seam both ways, or you can press the seam one side, doesn't matter. Just to make sure they just, this center sew and this center sew matches. You can kind of feel with your finger and then pin. And we are going to stitch here and here. Now you are done. This is the most fun part. You're gonna see how your parts are gonna look like. Let's see. With your finger, bring the corner through the opening. Turn the back right side out. This is my favorite part of the bag making. And then with your finger, just to make sure the all corners is nice and poked out. So your finger is inside through the lining. You reach the corner of the bag, and all the side is nice. And then put this lining is on the side. And then when you turn the bag out, you see all the zipper tab is inside. So now you need this bamboo turner or pencil, chopstick, whatever is around. You just put like this. Oh, I forgot something. Before you turn the pouch out, I would trim this bulk a little bit with the scissor. And make sure do not cut here, just a little bulk of the corner. Because you remember we sew with the 3/8 an inch, so it's a little leftover seam here. So just make it nicely. And with the turner, you poke like this. And then with your finger, make it nice. And the other side too. Like this. And then cut all the remaining thread away. And this is the joy of bag making. You can finish the project in an afternoon, and you can start another one in the evening. So now you're gonna turn the lining opening like a fold with the finger press, and then clip, and then hand stitch, and you are done. So my another tip is you always wanna press nicely. Make sure that the flat with your hand like this, and give a nice steam with a hot steam, with a press with a hot steam. And if you have a hand towel or whatever, just to put inside so it can shapes. So what I do is I put my hand towel and then put in the bag and then iron and then let it sleep overnight. Then you can have the perfect shape of the bag. So lastly, you can add a small leather handle. The handle is available on my shop, you can order. And you can also find online by searching leather handle. This is a mini pouch, mini bag, and this is a small and this is a medium. I hope you enjoy making this pouch with me today. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can find more about me on my website, sewingillustration.com, and my Instagram, Jeriano. All the links is in the description box. Thank you.